Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She always makes us think. So I'm thinking now about what we're diving into today and putting this all together, and I'm seeing the pieces come together. Life is always full of change. You never know what direction and journey you're going to go on. Yeah, we have best laid plans. Sometimes, there's pivots in different direction. We're going to talk about transferable skills, things that you may have learned back in the day that can apply to other areas and help move your life forward. And I'm getting a download in my mind very quickly here that maybe that was the way it was supposed to be. Maybe you learned something back in the day because maybe the universe knew you'd need it later on. I don't know. But she is so plugged into this and has transferable skills. First and foremost, she's a psychotherapist, works with children, adults, couples, on and on and on so many different levels. And she's also a chef. Susie Engel is back with us on the program today. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Steve?
Really good, really good. I'm intrigued about this topic. I can completely relate to it, and I can explain that in a moment. But how do you define transferable skills?
It's just one ability that you can use in different domains of life or different, not necessarily domains, but in different ways to function.
So let's go to an example of transferable skills that you have and what you did with them.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, not just talking about me as a chef and a psychotherapist, but we should touch upon that as we discuss this. But let's just say a young person comes to the office and says, one of my struggles or what I'd like to figure out is why I'm having a hard time focusing. There's like an overdiagnosis of ADHD these days, right? And then the young person here of any age, it doesn't matter if it's elementary school, teenager, college student, but the young person can describe all these times currently and in the past when he or she can, slow down, accomplish something, focus, accomplish something from start to finish, and to remember that, or that you used to do this as a child, is the beginning of a transferable skill. So now we have to tap into, let's say somebody learned to play baseball and they learn to focus on the pitch coming in somehow, right? Because you have to watch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you could do that when you were younger, then you can do that now. So what do we need to focus on? Are you learning a new sport? Are you trying to focus on a puzzle that you're solving? Are you trying to focus on a book that you're writing on? Well, you can use focusing on that pitch coming at you that you were really, really good at, never missing the pitch, as a transferable skill. And same with assertiveness. If we learn as a young kid being free-spirited that we can be open and free and express ourselves, then what happened along the way that we're tamping that down, and let's revive it? That's a transferable skill.
I never thought of those, I'll call them for the moment, traits, being skills that are transferred. Never thought of it that way. My mind is thinking, let's say a skill, trade type thing that you use later in life. And it doesn't have to be job connected, but it supported you later in life. I didn't think of those things like, even empathy. Let's say you're a kid. You're very empathetic. You feel things. Maybe you're very emotional. Maybe that could have translated later in life to being a nurse where you support other people.
For sure. Yeah,
right?
for sure. Or um, being an artist, or uh, being a market person. Like I'm really being a business consultant. Well, if I'm empathetic and I can attune to people's character, that's a transferable skill. It's not just being emotional. And also that word is a little bit judgmental, right? Like, oh, you're so emotional. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I would hope so. Because if you weren't like feeling your feelings, we'd really have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. The word emotional gets a bad rap, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
always used in a negative.
Or like you're sensitive.
Right.
That's just like got a flavor, right?
So,
But then I think about being a chef, right? So one of the things about being a chef is clean as you go. A lot of people, well, I'll cook, you clean, or I don't like to cook or bake because I don't like the mess at the end. But if you clean as you go, first of all, you're being structured, orderly, and there's no mess at the end. By the time something's in the oven, half of the things are cleaned and drying. And by the time something comes out, or is finished baking or cooking, you've finished the other pans and mixers or utensils or tools, right? You've cleaned them. So clean as you go. The counters are clean. We're ready to put a platter so the platter's not sticky because the counters are clean. Well, if we clean as we go as a transferable skill, then I also am going to express myself in the moment as we go in a relationship or at work or in public if I'm, doing a deal with somebody to get a job done. I'm going to express myself, like not bottle it and get all muddy inside. I'm going to clean as I go and communicate as I go.
I
That's
never even looked at it that way. These little things, these little nuances, those things that support us, we probably don't realize them, how they support us in other ways. Yeah. Wow.
And I'm sure you have hundreds or thousands, right? Of if you start just noticing, you don't even have to work at it. You'll
Yeah.
start saying, oh, or, you started this discussion by saying, what if you learned something, not necessarily a trade, but I think you said something like that early in life and it serves you
Later.
throughout life or
Yep.
now. Well, a lot of parents who send their young people here, their children of all ages, the parents say apologetically, which is disparaging to me to begin with. The parents say, oh, my child might not open up. My teenager might not open up. My kid won't talk to anybody. Don't be surprised if you don't get anything out of him or her. And or my kid can't focus. My kid is all over the place. My kid's disorganized. And then we do something like origami while we're talking about this child's or person's history. And the kid is like following along and we're doing origami and we're talking about deep stuff. And the kid is calm and focused. And I'm thinking, oh, like when do you struggle with focus as part of our history and getting into deep stuff? The kid's like, oh, during school or sometimes at sports when all the kids everybody's like, it's just too much going on. And I say, well, look now, like I know this environment is quiet, but what if you got into your origami mind? And the kid like blinked, like, whoa, right? And don't you know, every time there was an overwhelming situation, he was able just to focus here or focus over there and not be in the overwhelm or the cyclone of. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Like totally. I'm seeing this in much different lenses. And it's funny, before we jumped into this, I said, before we even went on air here, like, I'm wondering if we can fill a podcast talking about transferable skills. Can we is that even possible? Yeah.
Well, I told you so.
But because I didn't see it that way. I saw it more. You're right. I should have listened to the professional.
No, you did listen. We're doing that.
Oh, we're doing it. Right.
Trusted the process.
Can I share? And I'm seeing the pieces come clear. Some of my transferable skills, like laser them out there and bang them off there, because I'm seeing more. So
I want you to.
I always wanted to be on the radio. I always wanted to be a cartoonist. I used to draw 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, got to the age of 17, started radio. I was still kind of dabbling in the cartoon world, almost became syndicated. My father passed away when I was 21, and I got a couple of bucks, so I bought video equipment. And I used to intern at a cable TV station before I got into radio, and I just thought it was cool. So bought video equipment, taught myself how to do video, played around with that for about a year, and then I sold it. That was when I was 21. Fast forward to when I was, in my low 40s, I opened a marketing company. All of that stuff that I learned in creating video that I thought just, was there and gone, I'm using then, I'm using now almost every day. Yeah. Let's go to podcasts. So, yeah, it's sort of like radio. However, I was involved in the metaphysical world, working with psychics and things like that 30 years ago. Now I see all about energy, right? Now I see what energy is about now in doing these podcasts, talking to people like you and energy healers and such. And one other thing, empathy. I never knew I had empathy. I took a strength assessment a year ago. It showed empathy is my number 2 strength. Now I look at everything, and that's piloted me along the way, even in radio, because when I'm even on the air doing a morning show, whatever, I feel like I'm already plugged into somebody without even knowing it.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah.
And I guess that has worked for me. And even women, like the empathy, the prize demographic in radio has always been women 25 to 54.
Oh.
That's just a big one. They make a lot of purchase decisions, whatever, but it's still, now 54 plus. I always did well in that demographic because I feel like I have empathy and can plug in, maybe a little emotion. But all of those things I didn't even see until we're talking about it right now. And I'm seeing like, oh, this all came into play. It's almost as if it was supposed to happen, though. And I wonder about that.
They were building blocks for you, too. The issue is it doesn't have to even be concrete. So like cleaning as you go in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But then expressing yourself in the moment as you go instead of bottling things and feel sick for 3 weeks because you didn't bring up a discussion with somebody. So it doesn't have to be concrete about these things either. But I like how your transferable skills are popping for you. And I'm sure the audience, like people probably have thousands of transferables.
I'm getting even more. I'm a Virgo. I'm very organized. I'm not like a freak about it, but I'm like, there's organization there. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think that helps me in the organization of thoughts to get to it right away. You got to talk over a 14-second intro and deliver, information. Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking, that's a great topic idea.
And also, if you think about, I see an insect flying around over there.
So you or me?
No, I see an insect in my office.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
So
if you had good reflexes, you transfer that skill to get it.
If I look like a crazy person swatting at something, there's really something flying around in here. Anyway, I'm going to try to redirect myself here. But if you think about, I kind of lost my thought, but if you think about, I don't know. What if you learned a great game that you really enjoyed when you were little, right? And then unconsciously we have the transferable skill of the strategy. So if we have a great experience playing games as a youngster and people teach us like the strategies, like we're real people and should learn these things, not just like, oh, hope you win. It's
Hmm.
not about that. It's about learning the strategy.
Strategy, right?
That also is a transferable skill, isn't it? To like use strategy to discuss things. What if we're going to go buy a car? We're not going to say like, oh yeah, what if we're going to haggle about something? We're not going to start low. We're going to start high and then get to where we like our minimum, not like, sell ourselves short. We learn not to show our poker hand until we read other people. All these things happen in other areas of life, like friendships on the playground. These are transferable skills.
I'm seeing this so much more clearer and with so much more depth. I never even considered. I'm thinking more, call it vocational. Those things that you transferred from one job to another, or a hobby turned into a job, and you transferred that. Call it a skill. Now I'm
Yes,
seeing this like so much deeper.
yeah,
Wow.
I love it. And
Mm.
when I was going to grad school, I had two full-time internships. And then when I graduated, I figured I would use that time. And in the meantime, I was running my food business, supporting and raising my child, and going to grad school, graduating grad school, finishing internships. But I will say, one of the people I met in one of my internships was going to a different agency. And I had so much respect. I thought she was really clinically adept, even though she was in administration for social work and clinical work and non for profit in the community. So I said, Marcy, take my resume, and if something comes up and opens up, I'd love to interview for a job and have you as my supervisor. And guess what? She called the next week. She said, I can hire you. Come for an interview. I went through the process. And then a couple years into it, because I had to work full time before I could take my licensure test, a couple years into it, she got promoted and I got two new supervisors to take her place. So sorry, this is long winded, but these supervisors, first of all, they didn't measure up to her. And secondly, whenever there was a mistake, they were never accountable for their own responsibilities. They always tried to put it on any of us. And one day that fell to me. And I said, you're going to sit around this conference table and look me in the eye and not be truthful about your responsibilities. And
Mm.
and I know who I can trust. That is a transferable skill as well.
All right.
And
Let's go back to that. You
yeah,
know who you can trust. You personally.
yes,
Why?
because this goes back to our couple of sense of self podcasts a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
This goes back to because I have a sense of self. And if I trust myself, I'll know who out in the world I can trust or who I would be a little leery of. I mean, I don't have to like function out of distrust because I don't function that way. I don't function out of fear. I function out of, yeah, I know who I can trust.
Okay,
And then if I
I
get
see
to
that.
know, if
I
I
see
get to,
that.
yeah,
And I'm gonna say this.
what do you say?
Um, Before I embarked on a journey of me, okay, um, I went through and over time individuals that I shouldn't have trusted. And I see what you're saying, where if you're totally plugged into you, it's almost as if your value, your moral compass, all of that, you've got it. You've got a grip on it. You can see things, but when you're not plugged into you, sense of self, you're not seeing those other things. Unfortunately, in my journey now at this moment, I have to pilot by love everyone, trust few. Ouch. Don't Don't want to say that, but it is. And do the right thing for all. Not just do the right thing, because that could be self-serving. I did the right thing for you. No, for the greater good. But the trust view, unfortunately, that's until otherwise proven. That's where I'm sitting.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's your life, your experience.
Exactly.
I say your context, your landscape. There's no judgment about it. It's just
no.
You have your life, I have my life.
Yeah.
Right?
That's all. And it just, for me, it comes down to need another layer of trust there before I go all in. And because I am a trusting person, and maybe to a fault. And that's where lessons were learned.
Well, and the bottom line is too, which kind of veers off to a whole subject, is relationships are fluid, right? So we get to know somebody. I'm not saying they're like the honeymoon. I don't really like those types of like the honeymoon phase and this and that. But there's a process of getting to know people. Mm-hmm. And it goes very smoothly if we know ourselves. And sometimes as we get to know someone, we don't find them as attractive as maybe we thought they might be, that person might be, and or those people might be. And that's good. That's applying ourselves.
I totally agree with you. That's
healthy.
The sense of self thing is so foundational and gives you that clarity. And do you feel that in a new relationship, doesn't have to be romantic. You just, anything. And it's kind of cool in the beginning. Yeah, you're into the same stuff, me too, blah, blah, blah. You see things with more depth when you're plugged into yourself because you know what you're looking for in a relationship, any type of relationship. You know what you're looking for because you have a sense of self. If you don't, you kind of piloting blindly in some regards. And I'm just going to have one final thing here because it's my belief. People show who they are. Did you get it? The fly. People show who they are in the beginning. They will reveal who they are. You need to pay attention. And if you don't have a sense of self, you're just kind of like, this is great. It's a great relationship. Yeah, we're buddies. Or she's beautiful. She's hot, whatever it might be. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see the clues. That's my belief.
Oh, I agree with you because we've all had experiences. Remember, we talked a few months ago or at the very beginning of our podcast about red flags.
Oh, yeah.
And when we talk about that, we can't, just like a kid who thinks they're supposed to, there's something wrong with them if they don't know how to do their math problems the first minute they learned it. There are children like that who get so frustrated they'll tear up the page or erase till they burn a hole in the paper.
Yeah.
It's the same as learning and navigating life through relationships. Right?
Absolutely.
So sometimes we're not going to see the red flags. I mean, we should at some point in our maturity, hopefully in our late 20s, not our late 60s. But I'm not laughing because hey, whenever it happens for anybody, I'll be grateful because, but that's the truth. If we know ourselves and trust, we have that clarity.
We're out of time. You were right again. We could keep going on this. I never saw it that way. Again, I thought it was just more skills that you apply to work or to move your life forward. Didn't look at all these other things, even right down to being a kid playing a game. And if you're really proficient at it, that's a transferable skill. Amazing. Wow. This is what you do. This is why you're the professional of the year. And you can help anybody anywhere, even with this and so much more. How do we find you?
My website, Susan Engel. How does it go? -lcsw.com.
And Susan spelled as it sound.
We should do a whole United States therapy session.
Okay.
Something in a chat.
You have the best ideas. I'm just going to go with that. Engel, by the way, ENGEL, and it's -LCSW.com. Wonderful having you on here today, Susie. Thank you for just realizing these things. Gotta fly, pun intended. And I hope you catch that fly where it is. And I'm looking forward next time we get together, as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.